Hello, 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 and welcome. Another Tuesday edition of your live Q&A. Now, I will tell you, there is a lot of anticipation. I've talked to a lot of parents today. I have my glasses and I am ready. Tonight's live Q&A is sponsored by Pocket Path, and we have a winner. Remember our last Pocket Path discussion. I made sure that everyone was aware that the Pocket Path, actually the actual ball set and Pocket Path training tool would be given out to anyone that commented on the video. And this week it was Trevor Walter out of Jackson, Mississippi. And he will receive a Pocket Path arm trainer. And if you would like a Pocket Path arm trainer, and what I love about Pocket Path is everyone from Little League to all colleges, universities, Major League Baseball. Yes, Major League Baseball. Joe Kelly, former Red Sox and LA Dodger, Lucas Giolito, have all utilized Pocket Path as far as a training tool within their workout program. And if you would like to be joining Trevor in receiving a free Pocket Path trainer, all you have to do is comment on tonight's video to be entered, and then we will choose one random commenter, and we will get you out a free Pocket Path trainer. Make sure that you specifically comment on tonight's video. Let us know where you're from, and one lucky winner will be chosen. Pocket Path is definitely a difference maker when it comes to arm health in all throwing athletes, not just baseball players, but softball players as well as football players. Tonight's topic, good evening to the Canes, long time no see. Really appreciate you joining us, and I know the Canes are having a great season. Let's see, we have a new member. Welcome aboard. Let's see, is that Bill? Bill Richardson. Welcome aboard, Bill. Welcome. Tonight, baseball families do not make what I consider to be a permanent decision from a temporary headline. We have so many parents and people that are panicking because a lot of folks within social media are creating this sense of fear. But the NCAA eligibility discussion is really a Division I issue right now that's in discussion mode. Much like the Pavia injunction with regard to JUCO and getting an extra year of eligibility, which was a one-off, we still don't have any finalization of some of the decisions that they're trying to determine and put into action with regard to eligibility. But the ripple effect of this type of social media fear that's starting to be created throughout the social media world with regard to college athletics is really beginning to touch families at the high school levels, not so much the college level, which I find interesting. And we're starting to hear people say, well, post-grad is a waste of time now. You can't get that extra year. And folks, it's a Division I level. It has nothing to do with the NAIA or the NCAA lower levels of Division II or Division III. The real question is not just about how many years of eligibility your student athlete may have. The real question is what path will give your student athlete the best chance at success as a student, as a young person, and also as an athlete. That's the question that we have to ask ourselves. And when I start to talk to parents, and a lot of parents are kind of upset because they feel that, this isn't going to be available for their student athlete. They don't think that they're going to have the opportunities. We have to call a timeout, and we really have to take a step back. because what hasn't changed is the bigger picture with regard to college. And while the vast majority of parents are all worried about, will my son or daughter lose a year of eligibility? What about if my son went to school but had a learning disability? Ho, time out. First of all, we're talking about Division One only as of today, which is April of 2026. Nothing has been finalized yet. Nothing. So we don't want to talk hypotheticals. They're throwing things out. People are talking, but nothing has been finalized yet. So as it relates to eligibility in 5 years versus 4 years, we really have to take a step back, and we have to really first put our son or daughter in front and start to think about, what is going to matter for my child? What is going to matter for my student athlete? Here's the big picture that I want to start off with right away, and that is, do not lose sight of the 40-year, and I know that's kind of this narrative that everybody throws out there. Well, college, is really not the same as it used to be. I can use AI or Grok or Chat GPT, and I can just fill in the answers. What I really want is development. I want to be the best athlete I can be. That may be all well and good for you as a family if that is your priority. But stop and ask yourself, what are the realistic odds of your student athlete, your child, having a sustainable income from a sport? Not from the college perspective, which only pays a small fraction of their athletes what I call a livable wage for a finite period of time. But after the age of 24, is this sport really going to pay the bills for your student, your son, your daughter? Are you going to use college in any way, shape, or form about growth from a self-sufficient perspective, from a profession, a vocation perspective, a quality of life beyond the age of 24? This whole eligibility thing is taking on a life of its own, and it's really difficult for me as an adult to listen to adults say, well, this is going to shoot a hole in your narrative about postgraduate or reclassification. No, it doesn't. Well, this is going to mean that it's going to be, all these people that are foolishly backing their children up and reclassifying, it is not final yet. It could be high school graduation. You get 5 years. The clock strikes when you have 5 years after high school graduation. Understand what I'm using here for language. I'm saying it specifically. High school graduation. It is not when you go to Gap Year Baseball Academy U. It is not for that. So high school. Oh, by the way, some of these schools that most people in the world of recruiting, not all, most, do not have the slightest idea of what they're talking about when it comes to schools that have been around for centuries. They are an accredited academic institution that has decades of working relationships with colleges and universities throughout the world, and they're much more diversified than just athletics. Let me put on my spectacles so I can say hello to people. Mr. Smith, how are you, sir? Crimson, let's see, christening for you. Iowa in the house. Love Iowa. My son is in Des Moines, Iowa, although right now they're in St. Paul. Keith, Mr. Simmons, congratulations. You want to talk about a success story, the Simmons family, tremendous success story. has already made a college decision for their 4-year plan, did a 2-year stint as JUCO, had a wildly successful 2 years of college, and now will be going on to a 4-year school and probably having 3 additional years of eligibility. Well done, Mr. Simmons. Bradley Manis in the house from the great state of Texas, where the stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Sledgehammer Baseball from Tampa. All right, where Tampa is in the house. So what I would like to talk to you about first and foremost is this is a Division I eligibility question first, and there's no reason to panic about all other levels. And whether that's Division II, whether that's Division III at the NCAA level, NAIA schools, which, oh, by the way, are now becoming stronger. I had a great discussion this morning with 2 coaches, one in the NAIA level, one at the NCAA level. And the common thread between both coaches was the caliber of play that has been elevated across all of college baseball. The same can be said about all sports. And so my point of bringing that up is much to do about nothing, because what we're talking about is an NCAA Division I council that is pushing prospective, I guess we'll call it legislation, that is looking to be voted on in May or June so that it can be implemented for the school year of the fall of 2026, the playing season of 2026/27. But it is predominantly a Division I level in the vast majority. And if we're just talking about baseball or we're just talking about softball, we're talking approximately 3% on the high side of high school graduates participating at the Division I level. But let's talk about a couple of points here that are being glossed over by the fearmongers that want you to believe the sky is falling. Do you know that the vast majority of high school graduates are 18, turning 19 during their freshman year in college? Therefore, the majority of high school athletes are fine. Do you also realize that it is 19 and X number of months? So therefore, if your student athlete maybe has a November birthday and maybe they graduate high school and they just turning 19, that's going to be okay. I believe, because we still do not have finalization, I do believe it's going to be high school graduation and then 5 years of eligibility. I also believe, as an aside, I think NAIA in Division II will ultimately follow Division I at the NCAA level. I think JUCO will always be 2 years within 3, but the overwhelming discussion point here is I think ultimately there will be 5 years of eligibility. Now, for those of you that have been following me for any length of time, you've heard me say that 5 years is coming, 5 years is coming. It's going to come in some way, shape, or form, but it's going to be fitting what works for the majority of schools and universities. So that's point one. And another point to this is I want to restate, in my opinion, there's going to become the premier division of college athletics. Those schools that have countless amounts of resources, from not just monetarily, facilities, amenities, travel budgets, etc. Those 60 to 80 schools will conduct themselves in such a way that it'll be business. And the traditional college dynamic, along with academics, may not necessarily be as strict as it might have been in the past. I believe that will come to fruition at some point, just not within the 26-27 calendar year. Next, those other schools that are not part of that at the Division I level will abide by a more, what I would call, consistent college student dynamic that I think you'll find will be a traditional in every sense of the traditional college academic eligibility and athletic ability, which will be 5 years. Not all schools are name, image, and likeness and have large collective budgets, and the football budgets are not all $45 to $50 million. If we take a look around and we look at Anna Maria, several schools, smaller schools, are closing, unfortunately. We also have some Division II schools, and I believe some Division I schools will also follow suit. They'll go down to Division III. I think we're going to find that the Division III level is going to be where that traditional student athlete definition is being lived on a daily basis. The academic requirements, the travel, more of a balance. I think you're going to find that to be the case. Those schools that want to operate and have athletic budgets and really kind of push, the higher levels of athletics will go to Division I, and there'll be a lot of Division II schools that, from a geographic perspective, want to maintain and stay in that realm of Division II athletics. Point number 2, the postgraduate world. Now, I see a lot of people, and they want to bring into the discussion, they want to talk about reclassification and postgraduate becoming meaningless because now it's going to bite into their eligibility. They're only going to end up with 4. Oof. First and foremost, if you're a athletic-centric academy and there's not a lot of academic structure or traditional academic curriculum, I think that's going to be affected. I really do. And oh, by the way, what are we doing when we're trying to tell 15 to 19-year-olds that we want to take 2 and 3 hour a day online classes, and we want the 8 to 10 hours to be solely focused on athletics? Now, I'm not going to kick this can too far down the street today, but I want to ask you something. In a world of AI and in a world of everything being accessible at the fingertips on a phone or a computer or a laptop, and we're trying to prepare students from an athletic perspective for greatness, but yet the numbers tell us at the collegiate level there's a finite number of opportunities, and at the professional level it's a minor miracle to get an opportunity to participate in professional sports. Do you look at the numbers? The NFL draft was just last week. Do you know that I think the number was pretty gosh darn close to 92% of all NFL players that were drafted came from Power 4 schools or Division I schools? The same can be said in baseball. That's been happening for the last 3 years, where we're seeing that number really specifically go to Division I. So why are we chasing that athletic rabbit at such a aggressive pace when we know that as we go up the funnel from high school into college and professional, the opportunities are minuscule up here, but yet that's what we want to chase. That's what we want to tell our student athletes to prepare for. Thus, the portal every year sends off about 55 to 60% of athletes that never participate in that sport any longer. They don't find a greener pasture. They don't find another opportunity. Let's call it what it is. Reclassification at a prep school or a boarding school or a school of academic stature is about a 40-year game plan, not a 4-year plan of potentially disappointment from an athletic perspective. You can have all the right intentions as a parent. You think you're preparing your student athlete, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and tell you that the vast majority of people that promise academic success and greatness at the collegiate level are doing families more harm than good. They're not truly aware of the rigors, the workload that the athlete is going to be asked to take on at the collegiate level. And if they don't have that other balance of culture and social and academic and community and campus and all this other, the college existence is going to be a really short one, and it's probably going to be a miserable one. So I really want parents to understand that the social media world of eligibility in 5 years and 4 years and who's going to lose eligibility and who's not going to get eligibility, there's going to be a line that ultimately gets drawn in the sand, which is the common metaphor, the red line. And unfortunately, there's going to be someone on the other side of that line that's going to be hurt. And in today's world, that means litigation. What the NCAA is trying to do is minimize litigation by just saying, okay, we're going to have to bite a bullet. And all those current student athletes that are seniors, as of this recording today, are not going to be eligible to get an extra year. Well, what do you mean my student athlete deserves that extra year? And, we finally struggled and we need that extra year. And I'm sure there will be litigants that will be lining up and saying we deserve the extra year. And that's up for the courts to decide. But my point is, as we're talking today, the reality is they're on the outside. They're on the outside looking in. If you're a junior in college, you're going to get that extra year. You're going to get it not only your senior year, but you're going to get the extra year, the 5th year. If you're a high school athlete, you're a sophomore, you're a junior, and you're starting to think about college. Okay, again, attention in the room. This is a Division I, as we're talking in 2026 of April, Division I discussion. Doesn't affect Division III, doesn't affect Division II yet, doesn't affect NAIA, certainly doesn't affect JUCO. What are your requirements for college? Is JUCO a part of your discussion? Are you looking at college as just an athletic home and everything else is just an ancillary piece, but it's the baseball that's driving the bus? Let's see. Chris from Florida. How about you, sir? Welcome aboard. Wow, we have a full house here tonight. And I'm really appreciative to everybody that takes the time. And I have some questions that came in this week. I think the bigger picture here for parents is this. We're looking at this lens and this picture as the value of the eligibility versus the value of life post-college. Is 1 year of eligibility at a certain level of college athletics really going to matter in the overall scheme of your child's life? Are they really going to take advantage of the graduate school? Are they going to try to create an opportunity to get a master's degree, a graduate degree? Is that really what is at the core of your concern with regard to eligibility? Or is it you want another opportunity with regard to the bite at the apple from the professional component? Because behind this eligibility issue is another topic that is lurking specifically with regard to baseball. Again, we've touched on it numerous times. The draft. The draft is going to be condensed. That's not an opinion. That seems to be an overriding discussion point with college coaches and advisors and agents and major league scouts. It seems as if the entire draft will be slotted from pick 1 through the 10th round, final draft pick, and you'll just fall into those slots and that'll be your money. And then, oh, by the way, there's talk of minor league attrition again. And so the opportunity windows are being slammed shut to get into professional baseball. And, oh, by the way, the international dynamic is growing at such a pace that everybody has turned a blind eye. And when I talk to parents, I always try to bring up the competitive window is much bigger than your community, than your state, than your region. And oh, by the way, your country. You have Canada, you have Latin countries, you have Asian countries, you have Australia, you have Europe. One look at the World Baseball Classic. So, this eligibility question is not for the masses, it is for the minority. But yet, the industry wants to rev up and all get everybody revved up, thinking like, oh my gosh, what do I got to do? Because the more uncertainty, the more uneasiness, the more overwhelmed that you as parents become, the more you chase. We chase everything that, oh, I got to go do this. Oh, I got to go do that. And that is what people want to create. People want to tell you that, oh, postgrad and reclassification now, that's dead. Don't even consider that because it's a waste of time. No, it's not. Because those topics are not for the masses. Reclassifying and postgraduate are not for the conventional high school student. It's not for the college driven. It's really for a specific type of family and student that is seeking balance, that is seeking preparation, that is seeking a plan. You don't go to a prep school or a boarding school unless college has some significance for your son or daughter. You do not reclass. My youngest son was 17. I should have and wish I would have reclassed my son, not for the draft, or college. He did that for the purpose of truly preparing my son for the weight and the workload of what really is the reality of college, not just college athletics. Oh my gosh, the amount of books and reports and the writing and the reading and the social interaction, the study halls, the 4 a.m. strength training and conditioning 6 days a week, the 14 to 16-hour days, really the 18-hour days, 6 days a week, 1 day off. College athletics is 11 months a year, not 3 with some country club workouts for 4, and then you get together for 3, and then you go on family vacation. College athletics is 11 months for 4 or potentially 5 years. And it creates camaraderie because of how tough it is to get through. That's what creates the bonds. That's what creates the memories. College coaches now are forced. Parents come at this, and I had a wonderful dialogue with parents this weekend that I work with out on the West Coast. And they started the conversation by saying, coaches don't care. They lie. They just tell you anything. Holy cow. And I had to stop them and just say, please. And I've been in their shoes at a much, much lower level. But now college coaches that have been doing this for a very, very long time, who take pride in relationships, in developing men, not just baseball players, not just athletes, they are now forced. And I use the word forced because it's applicable. They are now forced to make business decisions, have a roster cap, and they have a business to run. They have a business to manage. They have in some cases, I guess they look at it like a payroll. How do I keep this player? Scholarship A versus name, image, and likeness, which is collective. We look at all these athletes bouncing around, quarterbacks and point guards and pitchers and left-hand power hitters. I can do better. I can make more money. Oh, by the way, I have a freshman class that I have to prepare for. I need X number of roster spots. What happens if I have this extra year of eligibility? I'm going to have to make some decisions on some of these upperclassmen. They might have to find another school. They might have to find another situation. No college coach wants to really do that. They don't take any sense of happiness to have to make that decision. So my point to you is the narrative of eligibility is a narrow one. It's narrow. It's for a small parcel as opposed to the large landscape that is college athletics. And as far as high school athletes are concerned, as parents, the number one takeaway from tonight's discussion that I want you to understand is gone are the days of chasing the bright lights of the showcase and where the coaches are going to be and where those days are no longer relevant. Those summer months are spent on development with quality mentors who know how to prepare your child mentally, physically, and skill set wise for what truly awaits them. You want to find those people during the summer that are telling your son or daughter what they need to hear when they need to hear it. Don't take the whole, I'm going to pitch 2 innings and then get into flip-flops and then go play at, Dave and Buster's or go grab a pizza or be in shorts while everybody else. That's not going to fly in college. You really need to understand about the preparation and the planning that now requires parents and athletes to do their homework for what truly awaits their child at the college level. Again, there will always be colleges that are more athletic centric and they're not as much concerned with the classroom. But that'll only pertain to a finite number of high-level Division I schools that are playing in the national championship pool that are spending several $million a year. That is the minority. That is not the majority. Next, and this topic is, I think, something I think we really need to begin to understand, and that is for families to stop chasing logos and labels and validation and social media stature, likes and sending out, reposting, and start planning for the realities of what awaits their student athlete. Meaning, it's always going to be not where you start, it's going to be where you finish from this point forward, meaning you may have to get in, get started. It may not be the logo or the school or the gear of choice. It means you need to listen to every college that takes the time and provides the common courtesy and extends a call, a direct message, an email to your son or daughter expressing interest in your child or your student athlete. Every college coach now, whether you believe it or not, can be the gateway for your child to having a college experience, an enjoyable college experience. It's incumbent upon parents to truly begin to plan, starting as a sophomore in high school. Okay, what is the transcript? For the love of goodness, I had another parent say to me, not really concerned about grades. The last thing the world needs is another sports management degree. Okay, you lost me there. but I respect the parent's opinion. And I simply said, if your student athlete becomes reliant upon technology to plug answers onto a piece of paper or to a computer screen, they're not thinking on their own. They're not trying to be creative on their own. They're not trying to express themselves on their own. They're not trying to develop on their own. They're trying to be reliant on technology and a temporary skill set that is going to help them for a very small portion of their life. And then they become pieces to a Bruce Springsteen song, Glory Days. I knew a kid who was a baseball hero back in high school. He could throw a speedball by you. Remember that guy? Yeah. My point to you is, let's not create fear and let's not discount realities of these new features that are coming into college athletics are only going to apply to a very, very small portion. The vast majority of all other athletes across all other sports are going to play in a very similar pool where academics are going to matter. The campus community and the society and the social culture are going to matter. Geographics are going to matter. And what you're looking to do at all times is trade the athletic ability for the academic opportunity and excellence that fits your student athlete. Number one, I can tell you with some degree of certainty that I believe the overall experience for families with regard to college will ultimately be a traditional 4 years undergrad, that fifth year of a graduate student, trying to obtain a graduate caliber degree. And that should be what we are all working towards. And I believe if that is the case, you'll have a much more enjoyable 4 or 5 years because A, it goes by so quick, and B, when you look back, you will begin to learn that those 4 or 5 years for your son or daughter, for the most part, are filled with ups and downs, but they are some of the most enjoyable years of their life that they will look back on way over and above athletics. It'll be things that happen on the weekends. It'll be within the classroom. It'll be within the quad. It'll be within the dorms. Ultimately, it will be a ring ceremony or a graduation. And they'll look back into their childhood years, of which the college will be the final frontier, and they'll be on their way into adulthood, looking back fondly that they did, in fact, trade their athletic ability or athletic competitive desires to a very enjoyable college experience. Do not let eligibility strategy cloud or invade your life strategy. Athletics may open a door for your student athlete with regard to the right school, the right network, but they also can provide the right fit that will shape their futures for the next 40 years. And I think we lose sight of that. And I think what ends up happening is we get caught up in the narrative that social media has from a day-to-day perspective. And then we get all hyped up and we lose sight of the fact that, okay, all I really want to do is see my son or daughter have a healthy, enjoyable 4 or 5 year experience at the college level. And I would like them to have some semblance of balance, meaning they're out of school for 4 or 5 years, or possibly, if it doesn't work out that freshman year, they do find the proper fit after that. Don't let anybody steal your joy. Do not let anyone tell you this is not worth it. I have had so many families be told by people who are totally clueless, postgrad is a waste of time. Reclassifying is a waste of time. I don't push a narrative, by the way. I could care less. I don't want to use that term. It doesn't affect me one way or the other. When I talk to parents, I always try to get them to understand you want to slow this process down because before you know it, your son or daughter is walking across the stage in a cap and gown. They're graduating college, and you literally do not see them. And I'm speaking from authority here. I don't get to see my sons often. They live in Texas. They're college graduates. They're in their 30s. They have children. They're adults. I look back on the days of going to games. I look back on the days of sitting around a dinner table and talking about things that happened at school and things that happened on a practice or a playing field. I miss those days, and you will too. So don't let somebody tell you something's not worth it. They don't know what matters to you. They don't know what is meaningful or significant to you as a parent. And more importantly, they don't know what's meaningful or significant to your child. Take the reins of your children and understand that when I'm working with families, I still work with families. Their children are in college right now. And they'll send me a message odd times, day and night, sometimes late at night, sometimes early in the morning. Need to talk to you. I've been working with their sons for 4 years, some cases 5 years, since they were freshmen in high school. And now they're freshmen in college or sophomores in college. And they're hitting a turning point. They're hitting, kind of this resistance field. Now what? Okay, well, let's talk this through. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater here. Let's talk about this. Okay, what's in their heart? What is important to them? Let me get them on the phone. All right, what talk to me, and a lot of these boys will say to me, it's not what I thought. I feel like I'm alone on an island, and I don't want to feel that way anymore. Okay, let's fix that. Because when a student begins to talk up for themselves and I hear it from their heart, they're not talking about athletics. They're not talking about a classroom. They're talking about their life as a human. They're trying to find their way. There is no such thing as one size fits all. And the path that worked for Johnny won't work for Jimmy. The path that worked for Susie will not work for Jane or Sally. The eligibility is a temporary roadblock. It's not an obstacle. It's a hurdle. You can go under a hurdle, you can go around a hurdle, or you can go over a hurdle. Obstacles take a little bit more time, but ultimately they're just an obstacle. It just takes us longer. They're not like a hurdle. So my point for this video tonight is simply this. We are coming really close to the lines being completely blurred. And all of the changes that are coming, the world is predicated and built on change, innovation, technology, academia, life, automation, AI. We need to, as a group, as a community, which brings me to this point before I put my spectacles on. This is a community, and I do value your insight and your opinions. And we had some spirited dialogue this week, which is why I'm bringing this up. I had a lot of parents say to me, I disagree with your stance on postgraduate or reclassification. And they explained to me why. And we agreed to disagree. But what I want you to understand is the sole purpose of me taking the time to rant and to talk and to interact with people is because I truly enjoy the relationships. The Tommy Maxwells from Michigan, the Bradley Manis or the Baron Manis from Argyle, Texas, the Cash McDade from Virginia, the Connor Fennell from Londonderry, New Hampshire. I could Cole Lonigan, Anthony Durenti. I could go on and on. Mason Coppins, Darren Willis from New Orleans. These people are a piece of who I am. And when they hurt, I hurt. And why I take the time to share this information is I want you to understand it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be a straight line. But if it matters to you, then it matters to me. And we have to figure out a way to navigate. Oh, I have an injury. Oh, I got a bad grade. Oh, I didn't get into the school I really wanted to get into. Oh, I really didn't make the team that I thought I was going to make. Okay. We're going to get through this together, which is why I'm talking about this tonight, because so many people have reached out and have been told so much misinformation. There is nothing finalized with regard to 5 years of eligibility. There is nothing finalized that says the current college seniors will not be a part of this. Do I think certain things will happen? Yes, which is why we're talking about it. But at the end of the day, you as a parent, you as a student athlete have a lot of options. You need to find the options that are right for you, right for your student athlete, right for your family, that feel right in your heart, that are right for the path that you're looking to take for your student athlete. And sometimes that is taking the road that is less traveled, and it could be a lonely, lonely path. But ultimately, the reward is tremendous. So on that note, Juan Carlos, thank you so much for joining us today. Chris, does the new rule apply to Division III? No, which is the point of my discussion. No, no, no. It's Division I. This eligibility has nothing to do with Division II or III as we're talking today. Division III is 4 years of eligibility. You still have redshirting. You still have waivers. You still have all of that. This ultimately boils down to the big boy world of the business of athletics and the millions of dollars. And NCAA Division I is tired of litigation for redshirt, hardship waivers, all of these things, like the University of Ole Miss quarterback. How about Miami's quarterback last year was 25 and hadn't taken classes in 2 years and was getting paid like $3 million. It's a business. It's a business decision. That's why the NCAA wants to return it. And ultimately, this is good for high school students. Yes, high school student athletes will be affected by the 5 years, but if they do the hard line in the sand and there's no fifth year given to the 26 college graduates, the high school athletes assimilate in, and it's just a progression line. And those high school graduates that find their way into Division I athletics, they're going to get 5 years of eligibility right out of the gate. I ultimately think, to reiterate my main point, that ultimately this will be based on high school graduation and not age, meaning I don't think they want the 21-year-old hockey player, or in some cases football or basketball player at 21. I think they want to have some normalcy, for lack of a better word, of being a high school graduate. They're throwing out 19, but ultimately I think there's going to be, you can't turn 20 prior to the fall classes. There's going to be some sort of happy medium there, but it's going to be based on high school graduation, and then the clock will start at Division I. Do I feel it will find its way to Division II? Yes. Do I feel NAIA may also join the ranks? I do. But that is a ways away. Tonight we're talking about what is reality. It does not affect Division III. It does not affect Division II. It does not affect JUCO. It does not affect NAIA. It is a Division I only current legislative committee that the vast majority of college coaches think that will be subjected to litigation, because there will be college students that'll jump in. And remember now, In some cases, athletes are becoming employees. These employees have no collective bargaining. There's no rails that are currently in place. And so it becomes a free agency. And if we're being honest, that is really what is on the table. Athletes at the Division I level, as of today, are essentially free agents year in and year out. And they can negotiate based on what is the market for a quarterback, what is the market for a running back, a wide receiver, a defensive end, a point guard, or center, a power forward, a left-hand hitting power hitter, a pitcher. They can all negotiate year in and year out. In college coaches, it's driving them crazy because they have to negotiate contracts, for lack of a better term. They have to negotiate who's coming back, who's not coming back, who's going into the portal. What do we do to get them on campus? There are bumpers and rails that are trying to be put into place so that everybody can play by the same rules. The mid majors cannot possibly play in the same pool as the Power Four. Thus, the Premier Division will ultimately be in play at some point, and then the other conferences will become the traditional college athletic type of programs, and they'll all abide by the same rules. I hope everybody has been able to follow this. I'm asking you to do two things tonight that would really be tremendously beneficial. Let's see. Miss Arizona. Yes, I am not saying to focus on things you cannot control. Yes, Gene, that is correct. You can't control these things. They're going to be voted on by people other than parents and other than student athletes. They're going to be voted on by college presidents. They're going to be voted on by council members at the NCAA Division I Council. But again, this is a Division I discussion. The vast majority, just go look up, Google, go to your happy place, AI, Grok, ChatGPT, all those types of things, and type in how many high school athletes ultimately play Division I sports. You'll see it's a fraction. Baseball is like 2.5%, 3%, and softball is the same. We're talking about a fraction. It's a Division I topic that you can't control. Here's what you can control. What schools excite you? What schools are geographically, academically, socially, culturally desirable by your student, your son, your daughter? What schools are interested? Let me say that again. What schools and what college coaches are interested in your student athlete? Those are the ones that you might want to be considering real aggressively early in your process. Might make sense. Let's see. How would that impact JUCO players? JUCO players are going to find a lot less room. I will tell you this. The NCAA Division III, all NAIA schools and JUCO schools. Let me back that up. All NCAA Division III, Division II, and NAIA schools, as well as JUCO, all JUCOs, California JUCOs, NJCAA JUCOs, all JUCOs are all going to end up with developmental / JV teams. That's just a hardcore fact. They want bodies on the college campus, and the more bodies that are on the team are the more bodies that are in college that are paying for classes and hours, credit hours. It's a business. We need to start approaching this as a business. This is what I am trying to tell parents. So if you think the numbers have been crazy prior to 2026, hold on tight because the numbers are going to get crazier and crazier. Okay, William Highsmith. Hello, William in Atlanta. Hi, Coach. Do you predict that proportion of high school athletes in big program classes will increase or decrease as the bigger schools, they're decreasing. Division I have caps. So it used to be Division I programs could have anywhere from 40 to as many 50 players on red shirt years, gray shirt years, kind of dealing with injuries and so forth. But now with the cap, their roster numbers across all sports are Title IX compliant. That's a whole topic for another discussion. But parents, you're not factoring that in. Title IX is a huge, huge piece to this puzzle. And people that don't know about reclassification, meaning prep schools, boarding schools, or Title IX topics, they cannot provide you the proper information if they don't have the understanding of how that all works. Please trust me on that, parents. William, if so, will it result in earlier or later recruiting? The question is, if so, will it result in earlier or later recruiting timelines for high school athletes? Later. Later. Parents, the college recruiting process opens for high school and portal athletes en masse, meaning to a larger degree, June 1st. That's when the floodgates open. That's when the exit meetings have occurred. They know who's coming back, but more importantly, they know who's not coming back. They know how many roster spots they have. Those roster spots are going to the best available athletic, those roster spots are not going to always just be filled by portal. If you are a high school athlete and you are physically, mentally, athletically ready to help a college program, you are going to be able to get one of those roster spots. But I cannot say this strongly enough. The roster creation, the roster process of putting together the 34-man roster at the Division I level, as well as all other levels of college. The fallbacks start coming out from Division I, so the Division II and the Division III, the JUCOs start to go get the freshmen that have been let go at the colleges. And there's like a feeding frenzy June 1st to the middle of July. And then the remaining balance, remember, there's a significant period of time, the third week in October through early March, where there's a quiet period. So the recruiting process is not about the shiny object August 1st. It's about the best prepared on June 1st as a rising high school senior. Later, the recruiting process for college athletics for the vast majority of high school athletes. Notice I did not say all. I want to get ahead of that before I get DMs all over my social media. For the vast majority is going to happen much later in the process. Later. So I want to encourage you to do two things. I want to make sure that this video, the engagement for this video, I am looking for 200 to 300 thumbs up. I'm looking for a minimum of 100 comments. Go to the YouTube page, Coach Beede, share this. Share this with your friends. Share this with your family. I want subscribers, engagement. I want to build the community. I really need your help building a community. It takes time. It takes effort from the masses, not just from one or two people. So if you can engage with this particular video, thumbs up. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know a comment. Subscribe. The vast majority of people that watch my content do not subscribe. I do not know why, but the analytics tell me that is accurate. So therefore, please, for the love of goodness, do that. Now, finally, first, foremost, Adam Wayne, Adam Wright. I always call you Adam Wainwright, thinking of Batman. I want to make sure a random commenter tonight will get one of the Pocket Path starter kits free. All you have to do is comment and someone will be selected, just like Trevor Walter was this week from Jackson, Mississippi. Please comment and you can be in the running to get a free Pocket Path arm trainer. We're going to be working with Little League. Now, I did this last week. I got a great response. This book right here is about my life. Now, why does that matter to you? This has nothing to do with me wanting you to buy a book. This has to do with understanding who I am, why I do what I do, why you as a parent might want to listen to the things that I talk about. This book, my goal is by Father's Day, which is June 21st, 2026, to have 100 reviews on Amazon or Goodreads, to be able to pay honor to my dad. This book is going to shed some light on that. To pay honor and to leave a legacy for my sons and my grandchildren. I will send you a free book. I will email you a book. And all that I'm asking is for you to read the book at your leisure and leave a review, an honest review. It would mean a great deal to me if you would take the time. It's a relatively easy read. I think there's about 170 pages. But this is going to tell you a lot more about why I do what I do, how I do what I do, and I'm not talking about recruiting. I'm talking about life. And those people that have worked with me can tell you that's what we do. We work things about life, not just baseball. So if you email me or direct message me or make a comment, I will send you this book via email. All that I ask is that you leave a review prior to June 21st. That will help me really, truly get the book in front of people that I feel. This is about fatherhood. This is about parenting. This is about life. This is not a baseball book. This is not talking about how my son did at Vanderbilt. This is not talking about me, during my days of baseball. This is about life. And all I would like you to do is read the book and provide your feedback, provide a review. My hope is to have 100 reviews between now and June 21st as a way to pay tribute to my dad, who would have been 85 this past April 1st, whose life ended at 38. And this is my way of sharing my dad. And I think you'll know why when you read the book. So I want to say thank you to everyone tonight. Have a great week in baseball. We are finally getting warm weather here in the Northeast. It is state tournament time throughout the entire country. We are getting to the May portion of the college baseball schedule. Major League Baseball, minor league baseball is always worth going out and watching a good game of baseball. If you have a question, walter@coachbeede.com. If you have a comment, please leave it on the YouTube page. And until next week, make sure, let's see. Awesome. William, thank you so much. I will get your email and I will put it into the Book Sirens review page. Have a great week in baseball. Please comment, offer a thumbs up. Let's get this video out. Let's share it. Let's take control of your future for not only your student athlete, but you as a parent. Let's bring you some calmer days, some less stressful days, and let's get your student athlete where they're looking to go.